Good evening and welcome to tonight's Yukon City Council, Yukon Municipal Authority Work Session. It is January 3rd, 2023. 6:30, we are here in this council chamber, Centennial Building, 12 South 5th Street, in the amazing city of Yukon, Oklahoma. Tonight, we're going to discuss the opportunity for funding feasibility study capital resource campaign plan by Miss Pam Shelton, our chamber CEO. So would you like to come forward?
Good evening, everyone. All right. I have sent you received a packet from us about several items, but the most important thing is a feasibility study. This group called Opportunity Funding are two former community ed Chamber of Commerce directors that have worked with other chambers and nonprofits to help raise funds in their communities. An example in Oklahoma is Poto, Oklahoma. They went in, did the feasibility study, then they did the actual fundraising and raised $1.4 million. They needed around 1.1 for a new library. So I talked to the director there and she said they're still using that money because it wasn't all used on the library. So it has to go through a nonprofit, a 501c3 to have this done. The chamber is only a 501c6. So we are not considered a true nonprofit. So there's a couple of options that we could do with this if we were going to continue with this process. Is one, we would also have a chamber 501c3, and we would have to get all that settled. The other option, I think, might be for the community, the cities, I can't remember their name.
Yukon Community Support Foundation.
So those are two possibilities where the money could come into for all of this to happen. The very first process in this procedure is to have a feasibility study. And the two men listed in here, Jerry Henson and Doug, they're the ones that have started this company, and they go in and they do a feasibility study. They used to travel to the places and do it, but now with Zoom and everything, they are now doing this with very little travel, but they are making personal contacts with the people. So my ask is to see if the city would help fund the $30,000 feasibility study to see if we could raise 1.4 million, 2.8 or whatever for some projects that we would like to consider here in Yukon. Maybe something with the the grain elevators, different things that we can figure out what we need after these people talk to the investors in this project. So a lot of them have done, another project they've done is farmers markets. They've put farmers markets in cities. So I know we've talked about that. So I'm just trying to figure out some ways to develop more economic vitality in Yukon. So that is my ask, and I don't know what you want to ask me, but I'm ready to answer your questions.
Okay, so how much does the feasibility study cost?
It costs $30,000. And I know I have several people that will donate $1,000. I know I can get several of those. The chamber could do, I was trying to do 10,000 of individuals, 10,000 from the city, and 10,000 from the chamber to see if we could get this done. They have a 98% rate of, what is the word? Success, thank you. Success in their feasibility, using the feasibility studies to actually do the projects that they've done.
So then they, I presume, keep a portion of what they raise?
Yes, and then we will, yes. When it's like around $25,000 a month for 6 to 8, no, about 10 months that they come in and work with us to get all the money raised. It depends on what our goal is and then how much, but they find the investors. They personally do a lot of personal contact to investors.
What keeps us from just doing that ourselves, the chamber?
the chamber. I think staffing. I think they have there's a lot of hidden, they keep saying there's a lot of hidden millionaires in Yukon. And I know there are some, but, and I just think it's a business instead of just the chamber. I mean, I can ask for a lot of things. I mean, I can sell dead light bulbs for $50, you know. So, I mean, I don't have I'm not scared to ask, but I think it just needs to be a more professional way that's done and handled, and they've done. If you look on this page right here, it says all of the ones that they've been successful with. Junction City, Kansas, 1.2 million, Lawrence, Kansas, 1.7, and they go in, and yes, they do make money, but they're bringing money in that we probably wouldn't have if we didn't use them.
What was the time frame?
We would like to have the feasibility study is about a 3-month time frame, I believe, and then the other would be, they like to do it less than a year, so.
They would get all the money done in less than a year?
I think that's what yes, they like to.
Okay. And then the project, how do you determine what that's gonna be?
That's what the feasibility study is.
Okay.
They will do the ask around the community. They will talk to the, I guess, heavy hitters, whoever, and the citizens and find out what they think would be an asset to this community.
You know, do you think, though, this will hurt the bond issue?
I've talked to, I talked to Lyle Butler in Kansas, and he said 3 times they had these opportunity funding come in and do things, and they were also having a school bond issue and a city bond issue, and they were all successful. He said it seemed to build more community when everybody was working together. So they did not see a hindrance. Now, that's them, we could, you know, but I've heard more positive about it than I had. I think even Poto might have been having a bond issue going on at the same time when they did it.
I know that Poto has really grown recently. I mean, they've been adding a lot of businesses even there.
So who's the keeper of the revenue, so to speak?
That would be the nonprofit,
Okay.
the 501c3 that we would decide how we would, if the chamber needed to make a 501c3 with the chamber, a foundation, or if it would go through the city foundation.
So would that require an employee dedicated to that?
It would be through I have someone that does our financials at the chamber, and I have visited with her, and depending on how much time it would be, she would be willing maybe to do it, so.
So let's say you get this money, $2 million, and you decide on a project, then who oversees that project?
That would be whoever that foundation was, but the chamber would work with that foundation.
Right, so if it's the Yukon Community Support Foundation, they're just like, how many of us?
4 of you? 4 or 5?
No, we have,
Oh, yeah.
11 on the board.
Oh, 11 on the board, okay. Okay. So, this is stuff that we just have to work through.
Right.
And because I know the chambers that have done it did not
So
have
it
that
could be
many.
a volunteer group that oversees the construction and all of this. It doesn't have to be the city then
It
that
does-
oversees.
Right,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. What are the negatives? Any?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm just blinded and I can't see them because I guess hear good things. And with their approval rate, I'm very impressed with them, and they're at every conference that I go to through chambers. I've been going for 4 or 5 years, 5 years, I guess. And I've talked to Jerry every time I go there. And he always says, well, when's Yukon ready to come on board? And so I finally, the board, my complete board listened to a Zoom meeting from Jerry and Doug and answered a lot of questions.
Is there any way to get that? I've listened to that same meeting.
Yes.
With the chamber. Is there any way to have that?
I was going to
sent
ask,
the
I did not
rest of the
send that out
council?
prior to this, but I can send that. It is a recorded, and I've sent it, Tammy and Mitch have seen it, so yes, I would love to share that with y'all. I know you need more information, but this is the first step to see,
Right.
to let you know.
You said there were two cities in Oklahoma, Poto, and who was
And
the other?
do you know, I cannot remember it and I cannot find it, but Ardmore, it was Ardmore.
Ardmore?
Ardmore
Okay.
did it. But their director is no longer there, but I do know Mita. And she would probably, be willing to talk to us too.
So the feasibility study would be to gauge, would you pick a project and the feasibility of funding that, or is this a feasibility of even
Feasibility-
raising
now-
the funds?
The feasibility is to find out what the community needs, and then also to find out if we have the people that would help fund it.
Okay.
It's a dual purpose.
So let's say we do the feasibility study and they say we don't have enough millionaires in Yukon, and so
They will go outside of Yukon too.
they go outside of Yukon? Okay.
They don't stick, because there are people that just like to invest
Mm-hmm.
in community projects.
And what do they get back from their investment, those that invest in it? Just helping a city grow? Or,
No, I don't even know the answer to
Yeah.
that question. Well, they would have, if it's an investment, they would get have to get a return on their
but
investment.
let's say it's a library, you don't get, you make a profit off
You
it.
don't make a profit. I will have to ask that question. There's a
Yeah.
reason they're done,
Right,
it is,
well,
there's a
philanthropic,
reason they're giving you
yeah.
the money, they're not doing
Right,
it
it's
for
a
free.
tax
So
write-
there's some
There's
investment.
a tax write-off
Yeah.
for that you donate to a library.
Because it would be a 501c6, I mean C3.
So it would
yeah.
be for a tax
Yeah.
write-off.
If they come back with a couple of projects, who gets the final say on what project?
It
you
would
go
be, we would decide. I mean, it wouldn't just be the chamber, it would be all those involved. I would want the city and the chamber to work together
Gotcha.
on this.
after? And in your example, if there was money left over, you still get to continue using that for other projects you come up with.
Okay. Any other questions?
And if you have any, I will send that file to you to look at. It's about a
Was it 30 minutes?
30-minute, but and there were a lot of questions asked. When we had it, the superintendent was there. There were several, and the hospital, I believe Teresa was there. So they're on the board.
I'm good friends with the mayor of Poto also, so I will contact
Contact,
him and then
okay.
let you guys know too what he has to say about it. Don't know the Ardmore person as well, but I'll find out.
Okay. And it's a new director, chamber director there too, but.
Any other questions? I like free money.
Well,
I
If
like
we
people
can
to
make it, I
donate.
mean, you
I
know,
like it not to
you've got,
cost the city.
and I will say one thing, they did it in one, they did an outdoor farmer's market venue type thing. And they had the big tent, you know how you have those outdoor tents? Well, come to find out, the company that made that product, the guy lived in their community and he donated like $2 million worth of those tents. And they didn't know that person was there. So it could be some hidden surprises and you never know. But you don't, until you ask, you know, if they say no, then you go on and find somebody else that'll say
Right.
yes.
Right.
So,
But a chance to do something that we're not having to ask the taxpayers to pay for, but to get outside participation in that. Anybody else? Mitch, Tammy, do y'all have any questions, concerns?
well, I'll send the video.
Okay, that sounds wonderful. Thank you for coming and sharing that with us. All right, did we have anything else for our study session? All right, well then we will recess and get back here at 7 o'clock.